Okay, what we have here is the mint condition mega kit. So I've gone ahead and printed everything and cut out everything. This is all the ephemera and tags, the journal cards, the envelopes, the folio. It's all the pieces to the folio. And then I have an envelope here that matched or coordinated, and I stuck it in here. And then my cover and my pages, my internal pages for my signatures. So I'm going to do this a little differently. Instead of doing some of the work off camera, I'm going to be assembling this one fully on camera, but I'm going to do it in stages so it's easier to find the spot that you're looking for. And I'm going to do the multi-pocket folio in a different video, and I'll link to each of them, you know, kind of time back and forth. I have not done the these jagged pieces yet. There's several of them. There are these pieces. I haven't cut the holes out yet. So I'm going to do those in a separate video as well, just so I just think it'll be easier to do that. I did print some of these, one page of the ephemera on regular copy paper instead of cardstock. You know, you guys know I always print everything on cardstock, but this the page that had these pieces on it, I printed on regular paper because I wanted them to be thin enough to be flexible. I may even tear them and use smaller pieces, but I definitely wanted them to be a little more flexible than cardstock. So these were printed on copy paper. Everything else was printed on cardstock. And again, I'm going to do these in a separate video along with a separate video for the folio. But for right now, let's talk about the binding. These are the two fold outs. This is one of the first kits, I think the second ever kit that comes with fold out pages. There's a line, that's where you fold it, and then you can fasten it to one of the internal pages, and then you have a flip out or a fold out. I'll show you how I'm going to do those when we get a little bit further along, and that will be on camera as well. But I want to talk first about how I have put together the internal pages. I printed everything two-sided with the exception of 2 pages. So all the pages were printed double-sided with the exception of 2 pages. Those 2 pages will be the outside of my 2 signatures. So I went ahead and decided what order I wanted them in. This is going to be the center page of one of the signatures, and then you can see we've got, I just put the rest of them in there. Now I also added 2 pages to each signature from the, that's actually upside down, I'm glad I looked at that, from the old paper pack that is in my Etsy shop. I'll link to it below as well. It has a faint version, this one has a faint version of How Great Thou Art handwritten on it. And then it is 2-sided, and then there's another page back here. And they're just pages designed to look old and worn, and I will probably rough up the edges a little bit as well. So I went ahead and put this signature together in the order that I wanted. I'm not going to fold it yet. I'm going to show you. We're going to do all that on camera. And then this is the second signature that I've already put together, made sure that it was in the order that I wanted, that it flowed nicely, keeping in mind that when you fold, this page is going to be next to this page. So it'll be like that. So making sure that I had pleasing pages next to each other, and no 2 pages that were too similar side by side. So this is one of the reasons that I take such care in putting my signatures together. And I like the center spreads of my signatures to have the bigger images or the bigger patterns on them, designs. So these two are going to be my center pages. And then this is the cover. And I'm going to do the cover in the fabric binding like I've done several times before, showed you. I showed you a little bit on some videos, but I've also linked to Natasha at Treasure Books video multiple times because she's where I learned this. This is not my technique, so I want to make sure that that's clear. And her way of teaching it is much better than my way, I'm sure, but I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to do it on camera and we're going to see what it looks like. So what that means is that I'll be cutting this cover right down the middle, and then I'll need something to bind it with. And I had originally pulled out what I thought was the only two green pieces of fabric that I had, which are these two. Both of these are upholstery type fabric, but neither one of them really just set me on fire. Neither one of them were like, oh, that's it. So I kind of put them back to the side and was like, all right, I'm gonna have to figure something else out. I have this piece that I absolutely love, and I think that it blends nicely, but it's not big enough. So I'm probably going to do something with this piece in this book or in this journal, but it's not going to be the binding. So then I found this piece that I probably would not have ever thought about because it has got a lot of different colors in it, and it's got flowers in it, and I was like, well, that's too busy. There's already flowers and stuff in there. It's too much. But then I started looking, and I think right here, I think I can get a piece kind of right in there that will be absolutely gorgeous, or possibly even right in here with maybe just a few leaves and some of that background color. I don't know exactly. I think I'm going to make a template. I'm not a crazy huge fan of cutting out the middle of something, of a piece of fabric like this, because I feel like that'll limit what I can do with the rest of it. But I've had this piece of fabric so long now that I'll just be happy to do something with it. I've already done one thing with it somewhere. I don't remember what it was, but so I'm gonna probably make a template of how big and wide and long the binding needs to be, and kind of play around with where I can cut that out of this piece of fabric. And once I get the template made and kind of start figuring out from the binding, from the fabric, I'll do that on camera as well, so you can see that process. As always, I have pulled together some things that go with this that I may use with this kit, and besides the fabric, I am going to use that piece of fabric as well, but I had that little tiny piece there, have this piece of lace that I liked, I had some little pieces of lace and these pom-poms, and this little piece of fabric that for some reason I just am in love with that little piece of fabric. And then I got some string that I might use for some of the tags. But I also found, and I don't know where I got this, this is a ribbon that says Greenland Home Fashions for a Greener Future. But it's like a canvas ribbon of some sort. And I just thought that Greenland, I mean, I don't know, I just want to use it, and I think I may fashion the closure out of this fabric, this canvas ribbon in some way, shape, or form. Don't know what that's going to look like yet, but we'll do all that on camera, and I'll try to be succinct as possible. And again, I'm going to try to be strategic so that I can put benchmark notices in the description, so you'll know where to go to see certain parts, so you can skip past the pieces that you don't necessarily need. So I'm going to get started on that shortly. I've got to clean my workstation off just a little bit, and then I will start the video process for that, and we'll go from there. All right, here we are with the mint condition kit. I'm going to get started on assembling the actual journal. which is always, not always, but most of the time the first thing that I do. I like to kind of have it finished so I can, not necessarily finish, but put together so that I can come up with ideas on how to do some of the other things like the fold outs and the folio and things like that. So what I have here is I have front and back printed pages that I have put in the order that I want them. I like to not have too many of the line pages together, so I try to alternate them. I always put one of the prettiest ones, or the ones that I like the best, that have usually that have patterns on both sides, as the center of the signature. So I've laid out two signatures here, one with this pretty design, one with this pretty design. And do I need to come up some? Maybe. I'm gonna pull up just a little bit. It'll give you a little bit more of a, oops, I'm sorry, I know that was kind of rough. Okay, so again, I have put them in the order that I wanted, that I want them in. I did add a couple of pieces. There's two to eat in each signature of the old paper pack. Two pieces from the old paper pack in each signature. There's one, and then here's another one. So there'll be 4 pages in each signature that is regular paper. Everything else is cardstock. And I like that. I like having different weights of paper in a journal. It just adds interest and texture, and I like that. And then my back piece, the last piece of my signature, is blank on the outside. There's no point in printing on this side because it's going to be covered up. All right, so I have these two. I'm going to double check one more time. I just double check and make sure everything is turned up the right way. Last thing you want to do is get your signature bound and then realize you got a sheet in there that's upside down. All right, this one looks like it's upside down, but it's not because of that. All right, so we're going to bind these signatures. So a lot of times people will fold their signatures one sheet at a time. I'm going to tell you I do not do that. You're going to have a little bit of a shortened fold on the outside pages anyway because of how many pages you have in there. But if you fold them one sheet at a time, this is going to be more pronounced. If you see what I'm talking about here, it's going to be much more pronounced if you fold them one sheet at a time, because you're going to have a harsh fold here that's going to kind of push them forward. We want a more rounded fold, so I'm going to hold this firm, hold those ends together as close as I can, and I'm just going to squeeze in the middle. And once I get a good squeeze in the middle, I'll lay it down and just go the rest of the way. I'm not going to worry about it being absolutely 100% perfect. I'm not going to worry about it being too firm. I'm not going to use my bone folder on it right now. I may at some point, but I'm not now. And as you can see, it's fairly close. I mean, because it's cardstock, you're going to have a little bit of that edge, but that doesn't bother me, and it's less pronounced than it would be if I'd folded them individually. So there's one folded. And now did I double check this one? I did, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Okay. All right, so to do that again, I'm just going to hold it real firm together, get my edges together, and I'm kind of pushing into my hand to make sure that they stay there. And then I'm just going to pinch in the middle. Once I've pinched, not really letting go of a lot, lay it down, run my thumb down through there. And again, I don't worry if it's not absolutely perfect. I don't worry if this is sticking out a little bit. And I don't worry if this is not super, super flat. It doesn't matter at this point. So there are my two signatures laid out and ready to bind. And now I'm going to sew these. I will do one and show you how to staple, but I'm going to sew these. Yeah, I'm going to sew them. So I'm just going to pull out a couple of things. There's nothing fancy here. I'm just going to get a big needle with a big hole in it, mainly because I'm half blind and can't see. I'm going to pull out an awl, which is, this is just a regular awl. It does have a very sharp point on it. If your awl is, I have one that I've used a lot, and it's the point's not very sharp, and it's like fighting with it. So you definitely want one with a sharp point on it. I'm going to pull out a couple binder clips and some string. Now I just happen to have, oh, I said I did, yeah. I just happen to have some waxed string. I'm going to use it because I have it. When I don't have it, excuse me, when I don't have waxed string, I use whatever I have available. Quilting thread, embroidery floss. Sometimes I've used like twine. I've taken it, you know, apart and only used one strand of it. This is probably the best and will last the longest. And again, I'm using it because I have it. Someone gave it to me. And it is easy to use, but you definitely don't have to go out and buy it. I have bound signatures with quilting thread and embroidery floss, no problems whatsoever. I get about 2 times the length with a little playroom. I probably waste a good bit of thread, but I would rather have too much thread in my needle than not enough. I'm just gonna thread this through there. I'm not gonna tie a knot anywhere or anything like that. Just gonna have that right there. I'm gonna move one out of the way. And I'm gonna take my binder clips. I like to put one on one side real close to the center, one on the other real close to the center. And now no matter what I do, the pages are not going to move around. Now you can be precise. There are all kinds of tools that you could get to do this with. There's a bookbinding cradle, there's templates, you could make a template, you could measure this out, you could do any or all of that. I'm not going to. I'm going to punch 3 holes in this with my awl by eyeballing it. It doesn't matter to me if they're absolutely perfect or if they're the same on this one that they are on the other signature. It just matters to me that the signature stays together. That's really all that matters to me. So I'm going to make sure though that this is, I feel like I've got a little bit off there. So, okay. All right, now got my clips back on, and now I'm going to poke my holes. So I'm going to do one kind of in the middle. I'm going to lay it down, and then I'm going to fold this over because make sure that I go straight out. See where it came out? Plus, if I lay it down and go sideways, I'm not poking into my mat. I do have a silicone mat here that's on top of another thicker silicone mat. I don't want to poke through my mats too much, and I definitely don't want to poke into my table. This is not necessarily a great table, but I don't want to destroy it. So just far enough to get a good solid hole in there. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. Lay it down, fold it. Oops. Lay it down where I want it, fold it, and then push. Get a good solid hole there. And then here, I don't need that to come up. Get it where I want it. Good solid. And then push. Okay, so now I have my holes there. You can see on the outside where they are. And now we're gonna think about something. I don't mind my string to be tied on the inside. if you want just a nicer, cleaner finish here with your string tied on the outside, you're going to start a different way. Wherever you're going to start with the center hole, and wherever you start, whichever side you start on is the side you're going to tie your knot on. So if I start on this side and go out, then my knot's going to be on the inside. And I'm okay with that. I'm going to do this one that way, and then I'll show you on the other one. We'll do it the other way. All right, so I'm going to come out to the center hole, and then I'm going to come back in one of the other holes. And because we have our binder clips on there and haven't taken them off, our holes are nice and easy to find and work with. We're not having to stick it in there and wiggle it around to try to get through the hole. So we went in the middle hole, or out the middle hole, back in the lower hole, and again, it doesn't matter which one. You're going to come out the middle hole, back in one of these holes, and then back out the other hole. Uh-oh, sorry. I let go of it. I let go of it and it fell out. Sorry about that. And now we're going to go back in the middle hole. So if you see what we have on the outside, and you can kind of see what we have on the inside. Now I like this middle string that goes all the way across. I like it to be in between my two strings. Here's the one that was on the tail from where I went out the middle hole to start with, back in this hole, all the way to this hole and out, and then back in the middle hole. And then this string is in the middle, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to take my needle out. I'm going to pull these tight, not too tight. I don't want to rip my paper, especially if you're using regular copy paper and not anything sturdier. But I'm just going to pull it snug so that it's nice and tight back there. And now I'm going to tie it, and I'm going to tie it nice and snug. And because I ran that full string down in there, in between those strings, and tied it, now it's caught there. So it's not going to be as likely to pull out. And I'm just going to tie it in a knot. And now the signature is bound. I'll trim these off. And again, I don't mind those, that knot being there. I don't mind those little strings being there. I think it adds a little bit of character. I can take these off now, and my signature is now bound. Now if I want to, I can take my bone folder and crease this up a little bit more. I don't always do this. I let that happen organically, but you can if that's something that you're used to. Okay, and as you start, it's automatically opening in the middle. That doesn't have anything to do with the knot. That just has to do with the process. Once we start working with it and adding to it and folding it down and using it and adding other things to it, you'll see that less and less pronounced. You'll see that automatic opening in the middle less and less pronounced. All right, so there's one signature. Let's do this second signature. So I'm going to make sure everything's nice and tight and squared up where I want it. Put one binder clip on that side. One binder clip on that side. And now take my trusty awl, kind of find my center point, or where I think the center point is, and push straight out. You want to make sure you don't push into your, for some reason this is harder. There we go. You want to make sure you don't push into your finger, because that is a pretty sharp point. I just got my hole big enough to work with. Gonna do two more, one at the end and then one at the top. And there you can see my 3 holes. Now I've got to get some more thread. I'm going to get 1 length, 2 length, and just a little bit extra. Try not to waste too much thread, but like I said, I would much rather have too much than not enough. All right, for this one, I'm going to show you how to do it if you want the knot on the outside. So we're going to come in from the middle. And you know, I want you to look at what I just did. I don't want you to force it. If you put your needle in the hole and get resistance, it's not lined up. So be careful about that. You don't want to make a new hole or force it. So if it doesn't go through there smoothly, pull your needle out and try it from a slightly different angle. So I'm going to come in the middle, out one of the end holes, back in the other hole, and then back out that middle hole. And as I said earlier, I like that long piece to be in between my thread, so you can see it a little bit better on this side because there's not the design. So as you see, we went in the middle, came out this hole, went all the way to this hole, and then back out the middle. So now I'm just going to pull this kind of tight. I'll show you what it looks like from the other side. Pull this kind of tight, and that piece that goes all the way from the top to the bottom hole is in between my thread. So it's going to get caught when I tie this knot. Tie it nice and tight, but not so tight that I'm tearing the paper or making the holes bigger. And now I'm going to trim it off. And now this knot, because it's on the outside, when we get the two signatures and the cover bound together, it will be hidden. So you will not see it on the inside. Just like on the other one though, it's going to automatically want to open at that middle, and that's going to diminish somewhat as we work through adding to and folding it in different places and things like that. All right, so there's our two signatures. I'm going to make myself a note because I specifically want this signature to be the first one. So I'm just going to take my pencil and put a little 1 right there and a little 2 right there. Plus that's on the side that is the front of both of them, so I won't accidentally get them mixed up. So the signatures are ready to assemble. So now we need to take our cover sheet and cut it right up the middle. You have a steady hand, and it doesn't really matter if it's absolutely 100% perfect. You could cut this by hand. I'm going to use my paper trimmer just because I get a smoother cut that way. So now I have my front and my back cover. Now before we worry anything about the spine, we're going to attach these to the signatures and let them dry. Okay, so this is our first signature and this is our cover page. So on this cover page, we're going to put a bead of, we're going to use some parchment paper first. I like to put parchment paper in between everything so that pages don't accidentally stick together. So I'm going to stick a piece down here, just so if I run a little bit of glue off the edge, it's not going to stick to the other page. And I'm going to leave a good finger's width down here that's not glued together. Probably 2 fingers width, maybe closer to 2 fingers. Because this is not the right glue. Sorry, this one's empty. I'm gonna have to go get my glue. Okay, actually I'm gonna use this. This is not what's in this. I love these containers and the tips. So when I buy these, it's actually clear glue, I think, that's in it. But I always fill them back up and reuse the containers. So I'm sorry, AdTech, this is not fine line liquid glue. This is something else, PVA, pH neutral PVA glue that's in here right now. But all right, so I've got my glue out. So I'm just going to run a bead right along where I want the glue to stop. And I'm going to come along the edges. I'm not going to worry too much if I don't get it all the way out to the edges. And I'm going to fill this in a little bit. All right, and now we're going to put our cover on it, get it lined up as close to perfect as we can. We can always trim and make it, fix any mistakes. I'm gonna make sure we get that on there nice and tight. Smooth it down. All right. So we're going to put this one to the side for just a second. Another piece of parchment. I'm going to do the back. This is the front of this one. I'm going to do the back. So I'm going to put this piece of parchment behind that page. Put it in there just in case. And now I'm going to run my, doesn't have to be perfectly straight. Then I'm going to go across the edges. Now, I should have mentioned, if you were going to put fabric or some sort of trim on the edges of your cover, you could do that before you do this stage, and then the edge of your trim would be inside your glue line. Line this up nice and straight as we can. And make sure we mash that down real good. Like that, and now our back is ready. That in there. We need to take that out. Alright, and now we're going to combine these two and add these two together. So it's the same process again. Just run a bead down through there, come out to the end, edge. I need to put my parchment back in there. Just in case. And now you're going to line these up as close as you can. It does not have to be perfect. But you want it as close to accurate as possible. There's it. I like to make sure that mine are nice and flat and sturdy. So I'm going to put this under a couple of bricks for a little bit. All right, I'm going to put it under a couple of bricks for a little bit, and then we'll work on something else. All right, I have let my cover and my signatures that I glued together dry thoroughly. I actually let them dry overnight, and I did put them between 2 bricks. I have 2 fairly large, like paver bricks, and that's how I flatten things out and that sort of thing. So it rested underneath that overnight, so it is nice and dry and fully adhered with this little lip right here, little lip right here. Now, you may notice, let me make sure you can see that it's a little offset. That probably happened. Either I didn't get it lined up well when I put them together, or when I put them under the bricks, they shifted just a little bit because it was still a little wet at that point. Doesn't matter. When I am ready to do when I glue the spine on, I will have to clip it together to let it dry with the spine on, and I'll be able to kind of straighten that up a little bit. You can see it's just a matter of pushing it back a little bit. I'll be able to straighten that up when I put the spine on. And by the time we get all the embellishments on, I'm probably going to put some lace or something down the edge of the cover. By the time we get all that done, you're not going to notice that anyway. So don't let anything like that waylay you or cause you to stress. This whole process, I've said this before, some of you have heard this before, this whole process is meant to be joyful. If you let it stress you out, it sucks the joy out of it, and that's not the whole goal. So don't let any of that kind of thing stress you out. It is a handmade product. It is meant to look handmade. If it looked machine made, what would be the point? You could go buy one. All right, so now what we need to do is figure out how wide of a piece of fabric we need for the back side. And I dug it in I keep a box of cardstock scraps. I very rarely, if it's this big, even if it's shorter, if it's this wide, I very rarely throw it away. I've got a little box, I toss it in a box, and then when I need to make a template for something or anything like that, I have what I need to do that. So first of all, I've got 4 pieces. First of all, I'm going to measure what I think I need. So I'm going to want to cover this printed binding up, and maybe I'll go about right there to about right there. And now you'll notice I did not pull that tight. We don't want to pull it tight like that, because then that's going to limit your ability to lay your journal flat. So you're going to want to leave a little bit of room there. So actually probably about like that. So I can probably do about 2 3/4 of a width. So first thing I'm going to do to make my template is get my 2 pieces 2 3/4 wide. Okay. This is not going to be fancy or, I have taken my, where I took my, I've got some pink here. My masking tape is in the other room, but I have some pink tape here. If I can get it loose, there we go. All right, so about 2 3/4 is where I want the width. It'll make sense as to why I'm doing this in a minute, maybe. Did I get it fairly square? It's fairly square, close enough. All right, So then I want to make sure that I have it long, my template long enough. So we'll want to go at least, want to go 8.5 just to have some play. Actually, I'm going to go 8 3/4 because I would rather it be too long. We're going to go 9 just in case. I know I keep changing my mind, but I would rather it be, well, we'll just go to the end of my template. There we go. We'll just do that. I would rather it be too long than not long enough. So, get easier to work with. I'm going to cut these off. It doesn't matter if they're perfect, because what matters is the inside. All right, so here's a few more pieces that I'm going to, of cardstock that I will put back in my box. I'm not going to throw those away. All right, so now you'll recall we have this piece of fabric, and we're thinking that there's a place in this fabric that we can use for this spine, but we don't necessarily want these big pink things in it. So that's what this template is for. This template is to see, can we get it, do we like that area? Do we like this area? Do we want some dark? What do you think? Kind of like that. But now that I think about it, maybe I do want some of the darker green on that edge. So let's see. That wouldn't be bad, but the inside is mainly peachy colors. You know what? Now that I've done it, now that I've done this, I think that's the piece that I want right there. So now what I'm going to do is just mark my corners a little bit. I can't see that corner, but if I can do these two corners and that corner, I'll figure it out. All right, so let's cut this out. Doesn't have to be exactly precise, because remember we left a little playroom in our template. All right, let's move this out of the way. And right in there. I still can't. All right, I think I could see that good enough now. All right. Now I've got a couple of pieces of scraps. So I can put my template to the side. When I make these templates, I do tend to hold on to them. I know you think I'm a hoarder, but and my husband calls me that frequently, but I am not. But I will hold on to this in case I need it again or can use it again for something. It may be the right fit for another binding at some point, so I'll just kind of put that in my stash. Now, so we have this piece of fabric. It is a little stretchy and it's going to fray around the edges. So what I'm going to need to do is shore it up a little bit, firm it up a little bit. So I'm going to use this book tape. This is from gafferpower.com. Gaffer. It is a very, very sticky, very sturdy book tape. It's not the easiest to work with. Once you get it down, it's probably not coming back up. So you have to be very careful with it, but it gives you a very sturdy spine without messing up the look of the fabric. I have glued thin cardboard or cardstock on the inside of the spine. If you can get a smooth glue without wrinkles, that works okay. But a lot of your fabric, especially vintage fabric, and this is upholstery fabric, but it's also kind of old. Sometimes the glue, once it dries, even though it dries clear, it dries darker on your fabric. So sometimes you can see those lines, and I don't like that. So I just use this book tape. Like I said, it's kind of hard to work with, but it's sturdy, and once it's on there, it's not coming off. So fold that edge under. Okay, so now I'm just going to take it. I'm going to make sure I have this where it is. I have a crease in this table right there, so it's a little lumpy. So I have to make sure I get away from that. And now I'm going to put it down in the middle first. And run it both ways. There we go. And now I can just trim it off the ends. Now we have, doesn't have to go all the way to the edge. The edge is going to be kind of reinforced anyway because it's going to be folded over. So don't worry about that. All right, so now we have that done. So now we can, and that was actually shorter than I had intended for it to be, but that's okay. So now we're just going to double check and see what our spine looks like. We put it on like this. So see, it's not tight on there. It's still got some play, so it'll still work nicely, but it covers up that green and is a pretty spine. So now we just need to glue it on there. Sorry, that noise is my boy Parker is up on my desk playing with my ink pens. So sorry about that. All right. I'm actually going to use this new, someone gave me a 2-pack of this Aleene's Clear Gel Tacky Glue. I think I showed you this the other day. I use this a lot. That's the Clear Gel too. I use this Turbo Tacky Glue a lot, but it's white. I haven't used this clear stuff yet, but it's Aleene, so I'm sure it's good. So we're going to use it. All right, let's get to it. You may do this a little differently. Get some clips out here. But I like to glue this edge down first. Do I have to do something to get this open? Apparently I do. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't know that. I don't remember having to do that on the white glue ones, but maybe I did. Okay, now we're ready. I'm just going to do a little bit of a bead down the edge of the fabric. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a bead here. Roll that over and pull this. Actually, for this one, doesn't have to be underneath there. Okay. Well, the only thing about using the clear gel is you probably can't see my bead of glue very well, and you can with the white, so sorry about that. Oh, I just stuck my finger in the glue. I'm going to press that down a good bit, and don't worry about those fraying pieces. We can clip those off later, but then I'm just going to make sure that it's got that play in it that I mentioned. We want to make sure that it's stuck well, but not stuck so well that we're not going to be able to open it up flat like that. So I think we're in a good shape. So we just need to, I'm going to put these, I've got my hair caught in there. All right, so I'm going to line those up like we talked about, and I'm going to put this clip on and then push those a little bit and put this clip on, and now we can let that dry. And every once in a while I might even leave those frays. I kind of like that. There's not any on the front, but every once in a while after this dries completely, I have to come back in and put just a little teeny tiny bead of glue in a couple of places right there, but that's perfectly okay. That's easily done. So let's let that dry on its own while we talk about the fold out pages. So these are our two fold out pages. And normally, well, not normally. Let me not say normally. There is no normal in junk journaling. There's only what you want. In the past, I have just folded it, put it on the edge of a paper on one of the internal pages and let it be a fold out. Recently, I have been more strategic than that. So I am going to go ahead and fold it. I'm not going to be super precise here. I'm just going to line up my corners. And as you can see, I did not get super precise. I can fix that a little bit. But it's not really going to matter. So we got a folded edge here. So this edge is closed. This edge is open, this edge is open, and this edge is open. So we can decide if there's any of those edges we want to leave open. So on one of these, I'm going to leave the top open. And what that'll allow us to do is have a pocket in the top of that fold out. So I'm going to go ahead on this one and glue the bottom and this other side. Actually, you don't really have to glue the other side because this is the side that's going to be attached to the internal page, but I am going to glue it a little just so it'll be easier to work with and so I don't forget what my goal is. All right. Now, if you do not have one of these little 1-inch hole punches and you want to treat yourself, or circle punch, it's a circle punch, I guess. This would be a great thing to treat yourself on. I use this all the time. It stays on my desk. And one of the things I use it for the most is putting these little notches in pockets. It's got marks on the side that show you where the half mark is, so you can get a perfect half circle. So there, look how beautiful that is. So I didn't get the glue all the way to the end, but it's not going to matter. Maybe I did. Okay, so this fold out page is ready to go in the book when it's time. Pocket at the top. This fold out, I think that what I want to do is make the, what is that? Let's make the pocket on the side. So I'll fold, and then I will glue the top and the bottom, leave the side open. All right, so let's fold. And I have scores and all that I could use, but I'm doing this as plainly as I possibly can so that you can see. You don't need a lot of special stuff to be able to do it and have fun with it and make a pretty product. Okay. So then this will be our open side. I want the circle on this side, so let me go ahead and I'm just ballparking the middle of the page. It may not be perfect, but it's close enough for me, and I'm okay with that. All right, so then we are going to just glue down the edges. Okay, I just had to make sure my video is still running. I haven't decided if I like this clear gel or not. It didn't stick very fast on this one, but now that it's dried a little, that's pretty good. There's a little bit of a wave to that. If you can see that little wave, that's from where the glue was. So I don't know, we'll see. Jury's still out. Definitely like the container though. After I use the glue, I'll definitely refill it with some Elmer's glue all. So now I have 2 fold out pages that are ready to go in the book. All right, I still want to let my binding dry just a little bit more. So we're going to take a break on the video and come back in we'll come back in just a little bit after this is dried. All right. No. Okay, let's continue on with our mint condition journal assembly. I did already assemble the folio. Did that in a separate video, so I will link to it below if you want to check that out. But it is finished and has this neat little, I used a piece of the ephemera to make this little closure. So I'll just give you a quick sneak peek. There it is. It's beautiful. All right. Close that up, put that to the side. Now, our binding has dried fully. So I'm going to take the clips off and see how we like it. Don't you think that looks great? That one clip was a little tight and I probably left it on there a little long, but I think that will work itself out. I'm not going to trim that edge right there. I'm going to let it fray a little bit. And for now, I'm going to leave these little pieces of fray string off of the binding. I'm gonna leave that. I kind of don't mind that. So the next step that I usually do is do my fold outs, and we do have the 2 fold outs that we've already prepped, and then I also have this envelope that we may use. So let's move this out of the way and look at where we may want to put our fold outs. I typically put the fold outs somewhere where there's not a lot of other interest. So if there's So like a fold out might be good on these pages. I don't want to put, since this fold out was done on cardstock, I probably don't want to attach it to one of my plain pieces of paper. Remember, we had put 4 pieces of just old looking paper from the old paper pack that's in my Etsy store. We had put 4 pieces of those in here just to add a little different texture to it. But we don't want to attach, because that's a thinner piece. I printed that on regular copy paper. We don't want to attach this double side, you know, two weights of cardstock to that piece of paper. We want to attach it to one of the sheets that's cardstock. So I think this is a good one to attach it to. And I think I would like it to be this one. I think I like that. So I normally do this with masking tape, but I am going to, since these, I'm not going to do that. I was going to say I might ink it, but I'm not going to, because I haven't done anything to the edges of the pages yet, and I may still. So let's just oops, sorry, I'm knocking stuff over all over the place, and I know that's loud. Let's just do this. Okay, so we want it to go right there and flip over that way. So I'm going to put my masking tape on the back side first, and I'll show you why. It's just I found that this is easier for me, and that's assuming I want to find the edge of my masking tape. Now I am going to do masking tape, but I'm also going to do just a little tiny thin bit of glue, because I don't want to risk the masking tape coming up. I don't worry about it being too precise. I eyeball it, kind of get it in the middle. It's not going to stick to my paper because this is nonstick parchment paper right here. So I'll be able to just pull it right up. Did get a piece of hair on it. Where is it? There it is. But now I can take this and line it up. I'll put a little bit of glue right there. But now I can just take it and line it up with this piece of paper. And I'm going to line it up as much as I can, but if you'll notice, I left a little teeny tiny space in there. Just a tiny little space. And now I'm simply going to put another little thin piece of, a little bead of glue on both sides. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be everywhere. Just enough to give the masking tape a little bit of extra reinforcement. And there we go. And now all I have to do is trim this off. And that was not perfectly straight. I can camouflage that a little bit. This one was not perfectly even either. And I don't worry about it. Don't stress over it. It's not that big of a deal. And now that fold out will fold nicely right there. Okay, so there's one. Let's see where we want to put the other one. Probably go to the back signature and put it somewhere back here. So let's see. This might be a good place to put it. Yeah, I think this might be a good place to put it. So we want it to go like that. So the tape will go there. I'm going to flip it over and put it on the back first. A little tiny bit of glue. Now, you can do this 1,000 other ways. You can, and it's probably 1,000 different orders. And you can use different things. You can use bookbinding tape. You can use washi tape. If you use washi tape, though, absolutely put the glue in there. Washi tape is, for whatever reason, does not stick for long. Did I just put that on the wrong side? No. No. Sorry, I confused myself. I'm going to put a little bit. Confused myself. Okay. Make sure I've got the right piece of paper. And then we're going to just kind of line it. See if I can do better lining it up than I did last time. Okay. And now we're do a thin piece of glue, thin bead of glue on both sides. The thing that I like about using masking tape, one, is it's cheap, and I always have it. Two, it's fairly sturdy, even though it does take a little bit of glue to make sure that it sticks long term. It's sturdy. It's not gonna, it's just sturdy. You know, it'll last a good long while, and it takes ink very well. So if you want to ink it up and make it look old, you're able to do that. So there's our next fold out. So now we have 2 fold outs in here. You can kind of see where they are. But I still have this envelope that I really want to use. So I can either put it on the edge of this is the middle piece. The middle between the 2 signatures, where the 2 signatures get put together. I don't want to cover either one of those up, though. That would cover that up if I did it that way. Or I could do it that way, but then that's going to cover up that. Okay. Let's think about this. Maybe we do it different. Maybe we let it fold out without the flap and let the flap stay there. All right, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to put it on the edge of this page, just like we did a fold out with masking tape. I'm going to fold in the flap. I want you to be able to put something in the envelope, but I don't want that stickiness on that envelope to get in the way. So I'm going to fold it like that. All right, so if I want it on the edge of this page, then I'm going to put the masking tape on the back. A little tiny bead of glue. If you just popped in to see this piece, you may be wondering why I'm all of a sudden using the white glue again instead of the gel. I just really had a hard time with that gel glue. It just wasn't working very well for me. So just a little tiny bit of glue right there. And then I'm not going to worry about it being definitely in the center, but I am going to try to get it pretty well lined up. This one is off just a little bit right there. Okay. All right. A little tiny bit of glue. Tiny bit of glue. The other thing that gel was doing when I would use it on the edge like this, is it was causing my page edges to get wavy, and I don't have that problem with this tape. This glue. So that was another reason that I wanted to kind of stop using that. Now, I did not do this right. Did not want to glue or tape that all the way down. And I was not paying attention. So I'm just gonna you see what I'm talking about? I would have normally only run my tape to the edge of the envelope, but this is what happens when I get on camera and I'm talking through everything I do. But I don't edit those pieces out because I want to remind you that mistakes are not that big of a deal. So now we have a third fold out in here. Can't even camouflage so well. So there we go. So now we have a nice, good. This would be perfect to use as a journal, just like it is. There is places to write, places to sketch, pretty inspiration, places to tuck something. This would be a nice journal or gift for someone just as it is. I'm going to be finishing up the edges a little bit in some way. Haven't decided exactly how, but let's look at some of the internal pieces, some of the ephemera, and talk about what we may want to do to some of those pieces. So these are the journal cards. There's 8 of them, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. And I did this on the last, well, I don't know if it's the last or not. One of the journals that I completed not too long ago, I decided I wanted double-sided journal cards instead of single-sided. And so I glued them to the back, and I had intended to make pockets out of them, but I just completely spazzed and glued them completely, so there was no pocket. These I'm going to make a pocket out of, because here's what I think will be precious. Let's just pretend, let's say, these are the 2 we're going to put together, and we're going to leave a little pocket right there. We have this little card, this little file tab kind of card that came with the ephemera. We glue those together and leave a pocket. Look how precious that would look in that journal card. So that's what I want to do. I want to do at least 2 of them like that. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do them all. I'm going to glue them all, and I'm going to kind of decide which ones go with which. Not that they have to match, but I don't want them to match, as a matter of fact. I don't want to put these 2 together because that's too matchy-matchy. I want to put this with one that doesn't have, yeah. So these 2 I'm going to put together. These 2 I'm going to put together. Wait. There was an extra one in there, sorry. These 2 I'm going to put together. These 2 I'm going to put together, and these 2. Now, I'm going to glue them first, and then after I glue them, I may have to go trim up the edges just a little bit, because they're not going to be a perfect match, because I don't cut like that. think I've told you that. I'm not the best cutter in the world. I get impatient is the problem. I get impatient when I'm cutting, and I start cutting too fast, and I start moving my paper instead of the scissors, or moving the scissors instead of the paper. Sorry, I forget to move the paper, not my scissors. And has anybody ever told you that it's better to cut, especially something precise, by moving the paper, not the scissors? I try to move the paper, not the scissors, but I get excited and I get in a hurry, and sometimes I end up moving my scissors, and that's almost always when I mess up. All right. Not really a top and the bottom. Just making sure if there is. And as you can see, I'm going to have to do some trimming, but that's okay. That is all right. Okay. 2 more. Oops, that's too much glue right there, but okay, 1 more, and we'll go back and trim. Trim and ink. Okay, did get a little glue on my paper, so I'm gonna put another piece down, just so I don't glue anything important on top of that. And I do this, I might end up with 6 or 7 different layers on here, but the reason that I don't worry about layering it when I get glue on it is because once that glue on this piece dries, this piece will pull right off of it. They're not going to stick together. They're not going to glue together because it's non-stick parchment. All right, so now I'm just going to trim. See which side. Okay, this is my open side, and it's pretty good, but let's trim just a little bit for that side. Actually, that's not too bad. So we'll just hit it again with the ink. And now I need to decide, do I want to just, which side is open? Do I want to just leave it? Or do I want to put a notch in it? Let's see. I think for one that has this card in it, I think I don't need, I didn't get that one glued very well. That's the one that I think had a glob of glue. Let's see if it'll fit in one of these. Yep, it'll fit in that one. I think I want it in this one though. Let's trim this one up. I hope you know that it's perfectly okay to fast forward through these parts of this video that I am talking to myself. I do that a lot. That's part of my creative process. I would love to hear what your creative process is like, but I'm betting it involves some sort of self-dialogue. I think most creatives do have some sort of self-dialogue as part of their decision-making process. All right, I think we are in good shape with this one. Oops, so now let's see. May do the little trick I showed you the other day. Let me just get it nice and make sure it's open good. It's still not going down in there quite like I want it to, so I'm going to trim a little bit of this off. If you've been doing paper crafts for any length of time, you know that trimming is the solution to a lot of problems, a lot of challenges. So we'll just move this off like that. It's still not going in there like I want it to. There we go. Perfect. That is absolutely perfect. I love that. Actually, it's upside down, but actually, I might like that even better. Put it in that way. There we go. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Let me pick up my little strands that I trimmed off. Okay, so there's that one. This one has been trimmed and re-inked. See if this one needs to be trimmed just a little bit right there. All right, let's just hit a few spots with the ink right there. Camouflage some of that stark whiteness. Okay, that one's good as well. Just to be sure that I'm gonna run this up in there. Okay, so there's another journal card with a pocket. This one I just did. This one just needs a little trimming on that corner and right there. I hope I'm not pulling this off camera too much. I'm sorry if I am. I learned that early on when I was trying to do one of these full-fledged how-to videos early on that if I don't get the camera in the right place, I can't redo it because I've already put the kit together. So I had to start over with a different kit. Okay. So the journal cards are ready. Let's see, is there another one of those? Oh yeah, there's this one. This one might go in right there. It's a little smaller, but it's still not wanting to go in, even though it's smaller, so. Ah, I just heard it pop loose. The spot that was causing the problem. There we go. So we've got 2 that have cards in it, 2 that are empty. We can put something else in them later. So there's our journal cards. And then let's just kind of take stock of what we have left. Oops. Put that out of the way. All right, so we have these pieces that we can use for collaging. These ephemera pieces. And a stamp piece. The stamp and this little piece right here, just in case you didn't see the folio video yet, this piece and this stamp, this is a piece of a piece that was with the multi-pocket folio kit, and the stamp was with it, but I didn't need it or didn't use it for the folio, so we'll have it here in case we want to use it here. We've got a bookmark that was also part of the folio, the multi-packet folio kit that I didn't use, that we may use. So these are pieces that could be used collages, as collage. These are our fabric and lace pieces. We'll leave those over here. Our ribbon. And then these are pieces that could be inserted into pockets. These are tabs. These are pockets. Our library pocket, our corner pocket, 2 of our slanted pockets, another little pocket. Okay, so here's all of our pockets. Oh, here's another pocket, another little tuck spot. This one like this came with the Mega Ephemera pack that was part of this Mega Journal Kit. But it's also a standalone product if you want just the ephemera. This is not the one that will come with it. This is the one that came with the folio, but I messed up and used the wrong one in the folio, so this is the one that's going to be used in the journal. And as I've said 1,000 times, those are just the things that we go with in this junk journal world. We don't let them stress us out. We don't worry about it. We just go with it. So there's another piece for it. Here's a card that can be, that's a library card that goes, it technically goes in the library pocket, but that's not where we have to put it. This can be tucked in somewhere. Here's a belly band. Here's another piece of ephemera. And then here are all of our page tabs. A little piece of lace. Some more stamps for collaging. And then 2 more pieces. Okay, so we have collage pieces. We have a belly band. We have fabric and lace scraps. We have the things that will tuck in. And then we have the pockets and things. Now, what we also have that I don't have right here with me are tags and envelopes. So let me go see if I can figure out what I did with the tags and envelopes, and I will come back. All right, I did find the tags and the envelopes. They were mixed in with another project I was working on, and actually, I never even finished cutting out the envelopes. So I will do that off camera so you're not having to watch me cut, and then we'll work on these later. So I'm just going to stick them right here. I did finish cutting out the tags, but I did not ink them. As I was doing something to the corners, I decided I would leave one to show you. Oh, stuck in there. The corners of, I'm not a huge fan of really sharp corners. So a lot of times on things like on this card don't bother me, but on these, I want that corner to be not quite so harsh, but I don't necessarily want it to be rounded or anything like that. So I literally just put my scissors right there, squeeze just a tad, and then just pull off like that. And it just gives me not quite a full rounded one, but if you can see right there, you can kind of see how it's not pointed now either. So just something to think about if you're like me and don't like pointy corners on some things. I'm just going to punch the holes in these real quick. And there's 4 of these tags with this kit. I do want a couple of them. I like to make the tags with pretty ribbons and ties on them and let them stick out. But I also think I want one that has a pocket in it. So I'm going to put the journal and the journal cards out of the way along with this tray. These, let me take the things that I might want to do something with right now. All right, we're going to set this out of the way for a minute. I'll do something with these. So what I mean by tag or by a pocket, sometimes I will do, if there's 4 in the kit, sometimes I'll have 4 tags, but they're blank on the back. So, and I'm not a huge fan of stark whiteness in this vintage look. So then I'm either going to go back and collage on it, or I'm going to ink it somehow, something, because I don't want it to just be that stark white. Sometimes I will glue them together so they're two-sided and a little thicker. This time, I think what I want to do, I want to put one together. I want these 2 to go together. These 2 are going to be separate. These 2 are going to be standalone. I have not inked the edges yet, and I need to do that because these are prime evidence that I'm not a very good cutter. I'm going to ink these just a little bit. And then because the back's going to stay plain, I am going to kind of ink around the edges a little bit. Just so it's not stark white, and so it's kind of like I meant it to be that way, if that makes sense. Let that dry. Sometimes I just do a straight kind of inking. Sometimes I do the kind of the rounding, swirly one like you just saw, but just so it's not so stark, but you still have room to write something in if you want to. All right, so we'll let that dry. I'm not going to ink this one until I put it together. So this one is going to get to go together on 3 sides, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, but not this side. So here I'm going to put the glue, just a little. And actually, up here where the hole is doesn't really matter. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue up there, just to reinforce it a little bit. And then we're going to just line them up as best we can. That was bad. There we go. We can fix it. All right, so this is our open side. Let's let that let it rest for a second. And while we're doing that, I want to think about these. some of these. We've got different sizes, different shapes. So we have, let's see, we have 2 of those, I have 2 of these, I have 3 of these, and 3 of these. Now I definitely want these on pages in the book, I think. But I want 1 or 2 of these. We'll see. This is going to go in the library pocket. So I want 1 at the top of this. Do I want a round one, or do I want... I think I want 1 of these. Which way do I want it? Do I want it like that? Or like that? I think I want it like that. Alright. So we will put this one on the top of this library card. Okay. All right. Let that dry a little bit. Don't think I need a tab on that, but I do want a tab on whatever I'm going to put in that I want a tab on whatever I'm going to put in here. So let's see. I might make something to go in here. So, wait though, I got all these little pieces. How about... Or will it go... Oh, you see what I'm saying? I'm thinking that we put this here. Does it have a top and a bottom? I think this is what I would consider the top. And maybe we put a sentiment of some sort on that so that there's a message. So I have all these little stickers, so how about live in the moment? Now, this is dry, so let's trim it up if we need to, just a little bit. Actually, I could have probably just inked it and not trimmed it, but let's trim it anyway, just to be sure. All right, let's ink it, and then we'll test out our little... Okay. So now, I'll just make sure now that it's dry a little bit. There we go. And you don't have to have one of these to do that with. You can use a butter knife or a spatula or a palette knife. You can use all kinds of things. A ruler. You can use all kinds of things. All right, so let's put some ribbon or something on this one. And I think, I wonder if I can get that in there. Might be too thick. Let's do a piece of this. We pull this out for the purposes of doing this. So let's see. The only thing I hate about doing this on camera is y'all see how clumsy I am and probably wonder how I get anything done. All right, there we go. Isn't that precious? This, in my opinion, this alone, this doesn't have to be a gift tag. This can be the gift. You make something like this in colors that I like, which I do like these colors, and put a message in there for me and give this to me. That is a wonderful gift. I don't need anything. I don't need you to put something, the tag on something to give me. The tag itself is the gift. I just love it. All right, so there's that. We've got our library pocket ready. So now we need to put ties on these, and we need to decide what we're going to put on this one. And I think on this one, since there's no hole, I'm not going to make a hole. I'm going to cut a piece of this canvas, and I'm going to staple it on, like right there. And you don't have to have something fancy for this. Regular stapler works. Here's my little swing line. I do like to make sure that the flat side, the closed side, is on the top. Like that. But then I have this staple puller, but it also works to help press it down. So I'll take this and press that down so that it's not picking on anything. And there we go. So that one's ready. I had some more twine, I think. Yeah. Let's use this piece on one. And I'm just doing a slip knot right there. You can, if you want, you can add a little tiny drop of glue back here, and that'll kind of make sure it doesn't slide out or slide loose. I don't always do that. I'm gonna do it because we're talking about it, but I don't always do that because it just isn't that big of a deal to me, and it rarely happens that they come loose. I don't know if this one's long enough. It's got a hair in it. I don't think that's long enough. Let's see if this one is long enough. I think this one's long enough. So if you don't know how to do this, just fold your ribbon or twine or whatever in half. Stick that folded piece through, and then put your ends through that loop. And that's all there is to it. It's probably not called a slip knot. It's probably called something else, but that's what I grew up learning it to be, and we use it a lot in crafts. So I'm going to trim that off just a little bit. And since I've glued the rest of them, I'm going to put a little dot of glue on that one. Let it dry. All right, so now my tags are ready. My insert is ready. So now I can really start working on the inside of my journal cards are ready. These get tucked, these get tucked, this gets tucked, and then all these get tucked. So I'll lay these to the side in a way that they can dry without, and bring our journal and cards back. All right, here's this gets tucked as well. That's a Polaroid, the little Polaroid. There's the belly band. Put these out here. And then here's all our, okay. Now, I typically wait and put these on at the end. On the book at the end, on the journal at the end. And I do that just because I don't want to put it on. I have put those in first, and then I go back and I'm like, oh, I want to put so-and-so on this page. Oh, I can't because I got a tab on there and it's in the way. So I prefer to decorate the inside first. So we'll go through and see. This is a nice page, although I would like a label here to be able to, so somebody could, you know, put that it's whose it is. This journal belongs to, kind of thing. I've got some here. Those are not the right color. Would one of those work? So, little contemporary. How about one of these? I'm just going to stick this one right here on the inside. It's kind of neutral. Alright, so we got that's way over to the side, but I'm not sure if I can. Nope, it ain't coming off now. I can camouflage it being off to the side by sticking something right there. How about not that though? How about this? Alright, as I'm working on the inside of this journal, I will have multiple pieces of parchment because I don't want anything sticking together that's not supposed to stick together. So I will get this all mashed down right here, nice and firm. But then I'm going to leave that piece of paper right there a little bit while it dries. I don't think I want to do anything here. Definitely don't want to do anything to this piece of paper. Got some, I don't know what that was, fuzz or something. Might do something here. So let's see what we have to choose from. Not a belly band, not necessarily. I just don't want to do that on there, but that's not bad. Still got plenty of room to write up there. Let's do that. Let's put this little corner pocket right here. I clearly didn't get enough glue on this one. It is not wanting to stick at all, but I want to put it back in the same place. There we go. That's better, I can already tell. Now, what you're going to notice now is that this outside of this fold out is upside down. But I'm not going to worry about it because I have plenty of other things that I can do to camouflage that. I can put the library card the library pocket right here and put the library card in it, and you will never even know that that piece is upside down. So, see what I mean when I tell you not to let anything stress you. It's not going to be perfect. Doesn't have to be perfect. If that's your goal, this is the wrong craft for you. I mean that with all the respect and love in the world. This is not a perfectionist kind of craft. There we go. Might leave those like they are. I'm definitely going to leave that one like it is. This one might need a little something. Maybe just a... Actually, this is a thin... I printed this thin. Maybe I can put that right there. I think I can. So what I need to do, since that's thin, to make sure nothing goes through, put me a piece of parchment back there. I like that. I like that a lot. All right, we're gonna let that dry. This has got there's some possibilities here. How about just one piece of this? Let's put it at the bottom. Someone asked me after watching one of the videos the other day why I don't use a heat gun or blow dryer to dry the glue in between pages. And I'll tell you why. One, I'm usually already so dang hot that the last thing I want to do is put more heat in my workstation. Two, depending on what kind of glue you're using, what kind of paper you're using, what kind of what you're trying to glue and dry, it could cause cracking. It could cause it to dry too fast and shrink, and I just don't want to take that risk. For me, part of the joy is getting to a point, taking a break, letting it dry, and then coming back, because I almost always have this parchment paper in there while it's drying. So then to kind of unwrap it and reveal the dried product is exciting to me. So I don't want to rush the process too much. That's just not part of my joy. So I don't use... Now, if I'm painting something with acrylic paint or watercolors and don't have time to let it naturally dry in between, sometimes I will use a heat gun or hair dryer for that. But for the most part, I let things dry on its own. All right, let's see here. Definitely want to decorate up this envelope a little bit. So let's look and see what we have we could put on here. Maybe this is a collage area. So let's see what we have here for collaging. All kinds of stuff. that's probably too close to the same color, but oh, 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 oh. Look at that. That's beautiful. You know what? I think it's just going to be kind of a monochromatic collage. We're going to start with those two pieces there. When I glue these pieces, this comes with the Ephemera pack. And I'm going to do a video showing you how to cut it out and get that look. Because this looks exactly like it's been torn out of a composition book. And I love that. But I don't glue those little things down. That's just not, I don't want to. If they bend and fold, that's okay with me. So I'm just gluing the actual paper. The rest of that will kind of stay up and free. Free to do what it wants. This is kind of the same pattern, but put that right there. Okay, so now I'm going to add in some lace. Actually, we're going to add in this first. This little piece of fabric, I told you I really wanted to use it. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why I have it. I usually don't keep pieces quite this small, but I absolutely adore it. I do want a little bit more of it to lay down though, so let's. Wait, it needs to go up here. I think so. No, I'm gonna put the cords up there. All right, let's see. And then I think that's enough. Although I will probably go back and put something on the top of that cord. Don't know what it'll be just yet. Wait a minute, and I'll show you something that it might be. Maybe. It might be that. We'll see. I wonder what that would feel like in the book. Well, thick enough book that doesn't really, you don't really notice it. Where is it? There it is. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Nothing is off limits. You put in what you are comfortable putting in, what you love. This is still going to be a nice little tuck spot. I'm going to stick this in here while that's drying. And now here's the centerpiece. All right, so then this is a this is out of copy paper too, so I think it'll be okay on this old paper pack that I printed on copy paper. Don't want to glue cardstock to copy paper, but this I think will be okay. See how clumsy I am? I watched some videos of some of the other people that do similar things, and they are so much more precise and succinct, and their movements are so much more graceful than mine. And I don't know how that happens or what that's all about, but it is just me. So I'm going to put, all right, I have enough. I'm not through with the inside. Still have pockets to put in and other things, but I have enough in there that I think I need to let it sit for a minute and dry. And while I do that, we can talk about what we have left. So we have all of our tuck stuff. So as far as for the inside, we have these 2 pockets, these 3 pockets, this tuck spot, and a belly band. And then these collage pieces that we may or may not need. And it's perfectly okay. I have an altered book project that I'm working on, and so when I get done with one of these projects and I have some pieces left over, like these little pieces, and they may or may not be left over, but when I have these kind of pieces left over, they go in my altered book. So it's not like they're going to get tossed or thrown away. They're still going to get used. They'll just get used in a different project. So we have these pieces of collage things left. We have these pockets, the belly band, the tuck spot, and then we have our page tabs. I very rarely use all of the page tabs. Sometimes I do. And I may this time, since I've used them on some other things, or used one on another thing. But now's the time that I think about what do I have that I may want to include tuck spot wise. So one of the things that I have is I have just a plethora of different kinds of cards and these little things that I've cut out of books. So sometimes I'll go through here and I'll see what may coordinate. Like that one would be, no, it's not really the right color. This one would though, that would be cute in there in a tuck spot. These are of landscaping and natural wonders. Some of these might be cute in there. A couple of those. Maybe this card. And then I have, all right, so there's a couple cards to go with it. And then I also have a box of scripture cards. Some of them I print, that one I printed. Some of these I printed. Let's see if there's some mint green ones in here. Don't see any there. Oh, we got here. These are some different colors. Oh, there's some that might... I just had this thought. As I was looking at these, it came out of a book, and the book, for whatever reason, I got this book at the Goodwill or thrift store somewhere. I don't know. Salvation Army, Tender Hearts. I don't know exactly where I got it, but it was all moldy on the outside. I mean, just moldy to the point where I didn't really want to touch it, but the inside was still really good. So I was like, okay, I'm going to suffer through handling this thing till I can get it home and get it dismantled. So these were some of the pages out of it. And as you may have seen on the camera, I didn't even really take the pages apart. I just took the pages out of the cover and got rid of the cover. But now that I've found these, and they're cute, and so what I think I'm going to do with these is after I cut out the envelopes, remember I told you I hadn't cut the envelopes out yet? I don't know why, but I haven't, and I would do that off camera. But what I'm going to do is fold them up small enough so that they'll go in there, and it'll be a little surprise. Be a neat little surprise. So I'm going to do that right now while I'm thinking about it. And kind of see what that's going to look like. And now that I have thought about it, what I could be doing, and I may do in the future, instead of having to use a page, and I've got plenty of these pages, I could use more in other projects, but I could also hand write a message and put in these little envelopes. I'm not sure why I've never really thought to do that before. And I don't really score these envelopes. They're pretty easy to just fold like they are. I say that, and now I'm having trouble getting this one folded. But sometimes I'll score them when I score everything else, but I don't need to do that right now. And then that folds that very well, and then this folds over. So what I need is I need this to fold up about like that. So actually we're going to fold it in a third. Kind of close to a third. Look at that, that's pretty. I'm going to put that on the outside. Oh look, if I do this, I think I can fold this down in there. I can. Look at that. Guys, look at that. And now it should go right down in my envelope. Oh man, I'm so excited. It doesn't take much. Let me go ahead and glue this together. Let that be drying. And then in case you didn't see how I did the fold, I'll fold this one again, or fold this one. Let's fold this one different, well, same way, but just with the other piece on the outside. So I just folded it in thirds. And now I'm folding it in thirds again. Kind of thirds. But then this end, I folded the corners down a little bit so this This side was kind of like a tuck spot or a tuck tab. And then it goes in. I didn't fold that yet until I get that in there. And then I can just fold it. And it's not precise, but how cool is that? Loving it. Okay, so we still have 4 little tuck spots in our belly band to put in. I still need to finish up the envelopes. I'm going to do these off camera. And so then we'll come back in a few minutes after the journal has dried, and I will I'll do the reveal on camera where I pull off the parchment paper, and then we'll finish up by adding the rest of these things. And then the last step will be tucking the things, the inserts into the tuck spots. Okay, let's move on to the next step with our mint condition junk journal. This is a I was going through some lace scraps for some other things, and I found some that I think we might use here, so I just tossed them over onto the tray, but we'll deal with those later. I know I already had some scraps over here, but let's reveal where we are. So as you know, I put this nonstick parchment paper in between pages when I've glued something on like this stamp, just to keep it from sticking to something else while it dries. So pull this out. This was the fold out that we did. This is the one that I put in upside down, if you'll recall. Now that we've got this library pocket on there, once we get a library card in there, you won't even know that it's upside down, so it won't matter. A little corner pocket we glued here. This page, we did put a corner pocket on this one, and this is exactly why I use this parchment paper, because it stuck a little bit, but it didn't stick to anything important, and it came right off of my parchment paper. So got a nice little worn corner there. Got a little piece of ephemera, torn piece of ephemera there. Here's our fancy collage that we did on the outside of the envelope, and I really love it. I love that the lace and the fabric is loose. That adds texture and interest and interactivity. The string, the heart. I do think that I'm going to bump just a little bit on one side of the heart with some ink. Just a little bit on that one side. But I love that. I just think that's precious. So then there's our tuck spot or pocket. And then the next thing we had was the piece of, we did glue the piece of jigsaw puzzle. We glued to one of the pieces of old paper from the old paper pack. And then that was it. That's as far as we have gotten with our ephemera. So that's where we take up from here. Get our glue ready. I need to clean my station off, but won't do it just yet. So let's see what we're going to put on, what we're going to put next, work with next. We need to get our page tabs out, our envelopes, and our, or not envelopes, but our pockets, and our belly band, and our little tuck spot. Get those out here where we can work with them. Okay, yep, okay. All right, so we've kind of gone through, and there's no right or wrong way to do this. You do it however you want. I typically start at the front, and I'll go through like I did on the last little section, and then I'll get to a place where I'm like, okay, that's pretty full. Let me let it settle. Let me let my mind think about it, and let me let everything dry, and then we'll pick it back up from there. So here's kind of where we left off. So So we still have this section that we haven't really done anything with. So let's just kind of flip through and see what sparks our interest. That's a beautiful page. Just love that page. Beautiful. And there's our centerfold on our back signature. This has 2 signatures in it. And that's our centerfold. I don't do any, I typically, not always, but I typically don't do anything to the centerfold. I leave it as it is. But I'm thinking that this page might be the perfect spot. I don't want to do the belly band there. I don't want to cover that up completely. But if we did this little tuck spot right here, I kind of like the way that's going to go. So let's do that. You know, I always kind of put this parchment paper back there, just so if I get carried away with the glue or sling it somewhere, drop this, I'm not messing up something that's not sticking pages together. Anything that I want to try to, I know I've talked a lot about you can't really make a mistake. There's nothing we can't fix or camouflage, but I do try to not do the irreparable mistakes, like gluing 2 pages together, things like that. So okay. Now I think here's the last fold out. See, that stuck together just a little bit, but not bad. Could fix that. This one goes in at the top. So maybe we want a little corner pocket here. Now this is the regular copy paper, but if we go close to the spine and we don't put a bunch in it, I'm not loving that idea. Let's don't do that. Let's do this. Let's put it at the bottom corner of this page. Let's fold our page in. And let's put it down there. That's where I want it. Yep, I think that's going to be perfect right there. So we still have a belly band and 2 more of these little pockets. I think I want to do the belly band right here, and I'm going to do it offset just a little bit. No, I'm not. I'm going to do it kind of centered, as close to the center as possible. And you know, with the belly band, you only glue the very ends. So just a little bit of glue on the end, a little bit of glue on the top. That's pretty close to the center. We'll call it center, and we will press that down real good. All right, so I have 2 more pockets. Let's go back to the beginning, see where we may want to squeeze in a pocket. We already have one there and there. That's a pretty page. These are kind of plain, so maybe one of these goes at the bottom of this page. Or offset. We're going to do offset. We're going to go to that corner. I'm a little bit of a fanatic with asymmetrical stuff. So since this page, this lined piece of graphic is not, it goes all the way to this edge, but it doesn't go all the way to this edge, so it's off center a little bit. If I try to put this in the middle, that's going to bother me. So I'm going to go offset a little bit with it, which is just another example of how it can be what you want, how you want it to be. It's all about what makes you happy and brings you joy. All right, got one more little, but I want to put, let's see, there's two of these, two of these. I want these two to go on the center fold. So this is the first center fold. So we're going to put this one at the top of the page. So what I'll need to do is put a piece really is going to have to go right there. I'll show you why. You probably figured out why, but that's not the center fold. But if you pull that tab up, what you will reveal is the center fold. Right? The center fold's right there. So there's that center fold. Let's find this center fold. So then this one goes down here. Go anything like that. I can fold this over. I don't know how you guys feel about the sound of things. I love the way a crinkle sounds. Hopefully it's not irritating the mess out of you while it's on camera. But I love that sound. It's one of the reasons that I like to put wax paper, rice paper, glassine paper, vellum, parchment, I mean, anything like that, paper bags. It's one of the reasons that I like those kinds of elements in my journals, because I think it just adds a little bit of texture. All right, so while that is drying for just a minute, we're going to go back and look at our envelopes. I didn't get this one glued very well. I'm going to have to glue this one a little bit more right there. So let me put her right there. We'll let that one dry for just a second too. Remember, we folded up our little spiritual messages, and then now that these envelopes have been glued together, I'm going to ink them because I never did ink them, and that just knocks down some of the white spots around the edges where I'm not the best, I'm just not the best cutter. All right, so there's one. We'll put one of these in there, and that's ready to be tucked in somewhere. And then this is the other one. It's gonna need to dry a little bit more before we ink in. So I'll finish that one probably off camera, but I'll put this in the other one after I ink it, and then we'll tuck it together wherever we decide to tuck it. Okay, so we have one more of these, two of these, and two of these. Now remember, there's no hard fast rule that says you have to use every single thing that comes in the kit. But let's just take stock for a minute. We've got this piece for a collage. We've got, this is printed on copy paper, so it's thin, but it would glue very nicely. Couple more pieces. We have our card for our library pocket. We have our bookmark. We have our Polaroid. We have our precious little tag with our message in it. We have our regular tag. Actually, 2 regular tags. And I think what I may want to do with some of this is maybe collage on the back of those. So let's think about that. We have 2 of our journal cards that we made pockets out of that have something already in them. And then we have 2 of them that have room for something else. And as a matter of fact, I think in this one, I will stick this envelope that has that little message in it. And I'm going to stick it with the flap on the outside. I like that. Okay. The other, this one doesn't have anything in it. So let's put this little Bible verse card in there. Actually, let's hit it with some, just a little tiny bit around the edges. This just had a book page glued to the back of it. I don't remember if this was one I printed or if it was one that, I don't remember, but anyway. Will it go this way? It will, but that's a harder, but you know what, let's do? We still have 2 of those and this one. So we're gonna put this one on this card. Yeah, we're gonna do that. Put that right there. Oops, right there. That's perfect. And then we will let that dry. And if you recall, in a couple of couple of other videos, but particularly in the video where we did the mint condition multi-pocket folio assembly, I showed you this little trick, and it's just a way of taking your bone folder or a ruler or butter knife, something flat, and just kind of going down in and making sure that where you didn't stick where you didn't want to stick. So every once in a while, if you've put glue down these 3 sides, a little tiny dab will get right in the center or somewhere, or it'll come out of the corners a little bit more than you wanted it to. And this just lets you kind of manipulate that a little bit once it's dry. You'll only want to do this once it's dry, and you want to be careful you don't push too hard and undo more than you wanted. But see, now that I've done that, this card is going to slide right down in there a little bit easier. Oh, it's going to catch on that side. That's okay. I'll have to remember that. But how cute. So these are all ready to be tucked somewhere, along with these cards that we laid out of our stash. Another little card there. Okay. Oops, I just found another one of those. All right, so really, we just need to think about what we're going to do with these. So let's actually, I think let's see. Well, I have a vision in mind, but I'm not sure how to describe it. So let me just do it and you watch. So I'm going to cover this whole back, including that little, including the tag, or the, what do you call it? The ribbon, the string. And then we're going to use, I'll put a little bit more. I'm going to put this on there too. Mash that down real good. Now I can just trim this off. You trim that off without getting that. Now there's one of our tags. I'm gonna have to let it dry. It's got some glue right there. But yay, now we have a two-sided tag. So I'm gonna put this over here with our other envelope and let it dry. This one, maybe we do something similar. So maybe we and eat the rest of this. Kind of like that. Make sure I'm in the viewing, or make sure I'm in your eyesight. I know I keep saying this, but this is such an important part of this whole process. I hope that this is proving to you that you can do anything you want. There are no rules. Your style will be different than my style. You might like some of the things that I'm doing. And you might think, what the world is she doing that for? And that's okay. You can think that if you want. I'm just going to snip that little corner off right there. And now we have a two-sided tag. So I'm going to let this one dry with the other one and with the other envelope. Put those two right there, let them dry. Okay, so then we really only have a couple of pieces. That's probably not any use. But these pieces of ephemera, we've got this one little tag, and then we have a couple. We have two big pieces, and then three little page tabs. And I'm thinking I'm not gonna do that. This one's just fine like it is. So let's find where we're gonna put that. I definitely want to put that somewhere. So let's see where we might want that to go. We got one inside there. See what I mean? Now when you pull it up, that tag comes up on the centerfold. If we put it here, when you pull the tab up, it's closing the centerfold, and that wasn't what I wanted. This is where this needs to go. This needs to go right here. We're gonna put it right there. I think that'll be perfect. And then now let's think about these tabs. These tabs. Maybe, let's see, if we put it on a fold out, will it still fold out? It would, but if you bent it back the other way or decided you wanted to go the other way, it would mess that up. So that's probably not the best choice. This little tab might be good inside to lift up the fold out. Can't do that though, because this one is closed that way, but we could do it up here. We could do it up here. Let's do that. Put one up there. Right there just in case. Make sure I'm doing this right. So that's goes there, so I can put this up here. Okay. Tab can go right there. How about we put the one tab here? Maybe we put it right here, and it helps us pull that out. I don't really want it on that though. How about we do this? Well, let's think about that one for a minute. There's our other fold. There's our tab. There's our other fold out right here. So this one opens at the top, so we could put this on the side. We could put this tab right here. So let's do that. It opens at the top. Yep, I'm just making sure. I'm not going to worry specifically about getting it in the middle. We'll just give it a good shot. Make sure that it's still not in the middle of the binding. Okay, it's not going to get squished. Okay, let that one dry. And then we have one more little one, and then two of the big ones. But I'm thinking this is a little card that I pulled out. It was in a book. It was in a flower book or a book, horticultural book, botanical book, I don't know. Anyway, but it has flower information on it, but I'm wondering, maybe we use these on these cards, but I need to know where I'm going to put it first, so I know whether to put it here or here. Actually, I love ladybugs, but I'm not loving ladybugs for this particular thing. So I think I'm gonna put this here, cover up the little ladybug, and then I'm gonna put this here, and I'll just have to go somewhere where that's the top. Or does this one look better? Nope, this one. I like this. I like this. This is a neat way to let what I'm adding to the kit kind of coordinate. Okay, yeah. We'll let that dry. So then it will go down in something that way. I'm not sure what. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that one. I don't know if I should put one on this or not. I put it right there. I don't know. I think that just needs to be like it is, and that'll just be an extra one in the event that I need it for something else. So these are things that are going to be inserted. These still need to dry a little bit. I think I said I was going to do this off camera, but I think it's dry now. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this envelope. I need to trim that just a little bit right there. That is preventing it from closing. There we go. Okay, so then this goes in here, and then we can tuck that somewhere inside, and this will go inside somewhere. Still not quite dry. All right, so now what we need to think about is we have these lace, this fabric stuff, we have this little, we have all this. Is there something we want to do with it? We also have this. Thought I might make the tie, the closure with this, but oh, I just had an idea, so we'll look at that in a minute. Okay, let's see if we're dry enough to pull our paper out. Not quite. So here's my thought. I'm thinking that I would really like some lace along the edges. So I'm thinking don't have enough of this, I don't think. Do I? No. Just shy of enough to put on the front and the back. Although I could put one on the front, one on the back, one of this on the front and this on the back. I've not done that where I had two different kinds of lace on it, and I'm not hating that. But there's plenty of this. So let's see about this. I could trim that off, and then it wouldn't be so much of it on this side. I could trim it right below those flowers. Did it with pink and shears, it would kind of be cute. All right, so let's do, is that it's too long. Let's do two pieces like that. Okay. There's our two pieces of that. That might be all the lace we do, but we'll see. Still want to think about something with this. Although I just had another idea with that, so. All right, let's do the back first. Oh, did that come off of something? No. Let's draw. Okay. Put that right there. Actually, okay. Trying to get it where you can see it and I can still work with it. Okay. Take my pink and shears and I'm going to cut just below that flower. That should get it pretty straight. Okay. Now you have to keep in mind when you're gluing lace like this, it's going to very quickly, the glue is very quickly going to come through the lace. You don't want to stretch it, but you do want to have it pulled taut, which it can be hard. Put this down. All right, and I'm gonna leave that in there because I don't want that. We'll trim that when it's dry. And move those pieces. All right. Here we go again. I'm going to trim just below the flower. Hope you can see this. Okay. Got another piece ready. Let's see. Whoops. Kind of at the top of the flower center. That's pretty good. It's pretty close. Now, if you'll notice, you noticed just then when I looked at that other side, I had an end that wasn't glued very well. I almost always have to glue lace 2 or 3 times for some reason. I don't know if I would rather not have, I'd rather have to add glue than have too much glue. So I need to let that and because I want to make sure that that's nice and sturdy, I'm going to pause for a minute. I'm going to put this under my trusty bricks along with these 2 tags that we collaged on. and let that dry for just a little bit, and then I will come back and we will do the final inserts and stuff. Put these back where they were. Okay, so our collage tags are dry. They spent the night underneath my bricks. One day I'll show you my bricks, show you how I use them. But there they are. They are nice and dry, and I like that we collaged on the back of them because now they're a little stiffer, a little sturdier than they would have been otherwise. So let's look at how our lace did on our cover. Looks like we got a decent. See, I didn't put glue all the way down there on purpose. I just wanted that to not be stiff, but it looks like we got a good adherence. So we're just going to trim off the edges. Now what I will do, and I always do this off camera because I'm always petrified I'm going to set some on fire, but I will take a lighter and just hit the edge of that real lightly, and that will help seal that. You've probably seen that done or done that yourself with ribbon, and it works on lace as well. You just have to be real careful not to singe it. But I like the way that turned out. Let's pull the rest of our parchment out. Put it to the side, get it out of the way so we can see what we have. I'm liking how this one turned out. Alright, just need to trim off this back. Let's see, we got a good adherence there too, with just a little lip here that is not. And I'm okay with that. Like I said, that was strategic. All right. So here we have the lace, we have the two centerfold tabs. We have two more tabs if we need them. We still have this piece of fabric that I think I know what I want to do with that fabric. We have the canvas ribbon that we thought about using for some sort of enclosure. I don't think we need all this other stuff, but let's do this. Let's take all of our inserts, move this to the side. Remember, we have the folio as well that we put together in a different video. So it goes in here. But before we do the inserts, let's work on the closure. Here's the idea that I had. I had the thought of that I like this as a tie. I like this as a way to kind of tie it together. But I don't know who's going to end up with this one yet. And they may not like that this is a branded thing. You know, they might not like that it's got somebody's name on it or some company name on it. So I want to be able to take it off if need to, but I want something to hold it on there. So I think I'm going to take, how wide would it need to be? I'm going to cut about right there. Kind of can see it in my mind's eye. This has got the selvage side on it, but just to make it almost, it's a little long, let's make it a little shorter. Oh, did a bad in that corner, didn't I? There we go. So if I put that right there and just glue on either end, this can go through there. And I think that's what I want it to do. So while we put the inserts in, I'm going to glue this on and let it be drying while we do those inserts. So, do I want to fold it over? I don't think so. I think I want to just put it on just like that. Yeah, I think so. So let's just a little, and I'm not going to do it all the way to the edge because you know I like things to stick up a little bit. So and I'm sorry that my light is flickering. I think I've got a light bulb fixing to go out. All right. I'm not going to worry too much if it's not exactly in the center, but that is pretty darn close. So we are going to let that dry. What is it, baby? All right, so we're going to leave that pressed down. Let that back piece dry real good. And before we do this, I'm actually going to do another step that I haven't done yet, and that is hit the edge of the pages. Some of them I may have to trim a little bit, and some of them just need a little bit of ink. And my little dauber is getting, I think I have another one. Here. I'm going to start with the fresh dauber. We have a few more of these left, and then I'm not buying these anymore. I'm using the makeup brushes, but let's just hit our edges. I'm not even going to hit the edge of that fabric. I'm going to hit the edge right here along that lace. Not going to worry about it. If I get a little bit on the lace, that's okay. Hit the top. And I will cut out some of this. I will not make you watch me do this whole thing, but I just kind of wanted you to see what I was talking about. Just some of these white edges. Don't need to do the whole thing, but just some of them, and more on some than on others. This one doesn't really need any. I'm going to catch the edge of this. I don't think I inked these fold outs at all, so hitting them a little bit is definitely going to be something I want to do. I do like to kind of hit the inside piece of my, even if it's just a little bit, just to help it stand out just a tad. I wanted to find one that I might need to trim a little bit just to kind of show you, and then I'll finish this part up off camera so you're not having to watch the whole thing. But I bet you there's one where these two signatures go together, maybe. This one right here. This one right here. Okay, so this is blank side to blank side. This is where the front and back signature meet. So this is two pieces of cardstock glued together. I will absolutely never get them perfect. There is always a little offset of that for two reasons. One, I don't cut straight in the first place, and two, it just got a little sideways when I was gluing it together. Sometimes it glues faster than I can work. So I'm going to trim that off a little bit. That's a little bit too much to try to ink up. I'm going to trim that just a little bit. Trim that just a little bit. Not a whole lot. Didn't have to do it a whole lot, but a little bit right here. Make sure I'm not messing up my back piece. And so now I can truly camouflage the rest of that white where these two pages got stuck together with the ink. And so you're not seeing that that stark white. Not only is it not calming down the stark white, it's also camouflaging the unevenness of my cuts. And now that I've done that, you can't even tell it. I mean, it doesn't change anything about how the pages lay or anything like that. So now that we got that done, let's put our inserts in while we're still letting this piece dry just a little bit more. All right, let's put some things in our pockets. This is the fun part. Okay. This one will go. One of these, will one of these go? No, those are a little bit too big. So let's do this. Let's put that one and one of these landscape cards. And then here we're going to put that's a little too big for right there. What about one of these? Oh yeah, one of the journal cards. I'm going to do that corner pocket like I've showed you though. I can feel where it's kind of sticking. Yep, you hear it? Hear it pop loose? Now it will accommodate a larger card. There we go. Yeah, that's perfect. So now we've got the journal card in the pocket, but we also have this little card that I hope hasn't stuck. It's got the little scripture on it. All right, got a open spot here. This is where I want to put this little card right here, I think. Let's see if that will fit right down in there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, let's see what else we might want to tuck. Got another tuck spot here. Let's see if our, oh, that's perfect. Our little Polaroid will stick right down in there. And let's put a tag in the back. Okay. There's our beautiful centerfold. Here's another pocket. That's a little odd-shaped pocket. I need to think about that going forward. That will fit, but don't want to force it, so maybe one of our collage cards, or collage tags rather. That's kind of cute. I'll go right there. Let's see what else we have. All right, so then we have our envelope. Definitely want to put, I actually want to put, we're going to put this, and this is our journal card that we glued together with the pocket. This is our envelope that we folded up the neat little message and stuck down in there. And then when we put this envelope in here, we left the flap out. So this, I think, is what I want to put in here. Now, that's nice. I like that. Okay. All right. You can do this however you want. You can put whatever you want, wherever you want. This is just my process. I'll just kind of go through here this way and look for my pockets. All right, I got a long skinny pocket here. Does this fit? Yeah, but the tag thing won't. So this is maybe one of our landscaping ones and our floral one. Let's slide them in right there. Kind of like that. Remember, these were two pieces that I pulled in from my stash that did not come with the kit. You will be surprised when you start looking around. You will be surprised the kind of things you have around that you can use that you never thought about using before. This long card I'm going to put here. Slide that right down in there. Leave that. I'm gonna leave that tag out just a tiny bit, like that. Yeah. All right. Got another tuck spot here. Another tuck spot here. We can put a on our tag here. Let's do our little process. Yep, heard it pop loose. And then this little scripture card I'm gonna stick down in there as well. And then here we have the belly band. Belly band can hold these 2 cards. So we're gonna put them, actually we're gonna pull this one out, put it in this way. Not that it matters, but that's just my preference. So now these 2 cards are gonna go under our belly band, I think. Yep, those 2 will go right there. And then I really only have one more little envelope and the folio. And what I like to do with the folio sometimes is just stick it behind a fold out. So let's see, I think the other fold out did not have, where's the other fold out? Right here. It does not have a flat, or doesn't have a pocket on the inside, so we're just going to put that there. And then this can go pretty much in wherever we want. Let's find, we'll just stick it right there. Now, we got a little gator mouth, not much, but a little bit. So it's nice and thick and so much fun. I would be ecstatic if someone gave me this as a gift. It is just absolutely gorgeous. I adore it. So now let's finish the process of getting this. So it needs to go this way so that the writing is up the right way, but I may want to put it in from the other side. So cut off this weird part at the end. All right, let's see. I have to have some help getting it through. I'm just kind of pushing it through there with my bone folder. I don't want to use anything sharp because I don't want to poke anything or tear anything. But there we go. I got enough of it out to be able to pull the rest of it out. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Look how that works. I'm loving that. Okay. So now we just need enough of this to tie a decent bow. And I think we could probably do it with about that much. So now, I'm not the best bow tire in the world by any stretch of the imagination. Hopefully, you know, you can tie a prettier bow than I can. But let's see how bad I do. Or how close to a pretty bow I can come. That's not too bad. It's a little bigger than I would want it. So let's okay. Well, let's angle these off. And there we have a finished mint condition junk journal that we made together, and I am in love with. What do you think? I hope you enjoyed watching this process, and I hope you enjoy creating your own.